Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get this started. Okay, a couple of things to note. First of all, I'm in a different location. Does it look like I'm in a hotel room? It's because I am in a hotel room. Yeah. So apologies mainly for the audio. It's very echoey in here. I'm going to do my best to minimize that as much as possible, but I wanted to get the filming out of the way. Also, I'm out of town, obviously, for an event, which is why I'm dressed like this. Super cute. I love this shirt. I got this from a vintage thrift store in Korea when I went last year. Super cute. Love this one. I feel so out of sorts, not even gonna lie. How do we look? How do we look? Is this okay? I might lower you guys. Okay, that's a little bit better. But to do a full outfit, so I'm wearing this cute little shirt. I call it like Frankenstein's monster because it has this puffy sleeve detail, this collar, this brown placket with white buttons, and I'm wearing some matching brown trousers. Did you hear that? Good grief. But okay, let's get started. Let's get the introduction out of the way first. Hi, my name is Alyssa. Thank you. Welcome back, or welcome if it's your first time hanging out with me. Really getting into my video essay era. I have just a lot of thoughts. But with that being said, I will say I scripted this video looking at the date of when this script was created back in like 2023. So I have been sitting on this for a couple of years. Yeah. So even back then, thoughts were really running through my mind. But I just saved it until now because I have a little bit more of a history with video essay style videos on my channel. But okay, today I wanted to talk about reality TV, the concept of commodifying your life for reality TV, and the trade-offs and the payoffs that come with that. So to get into it, as always, let's take it back and go a little bit more into the history of reality TV. Also, I'm so sorry. I'm going to adjust you again. So the first family-centered reality TV show was actually a 12-episode documentary called An American Life that aired in 1973 on PBS. The show followed the daily lives of the Loud family and became extremely popular, with millions tuning in every week. In the Loud family, there was the dad, Bill, the mom, Pat, and the kids, Lance, Kevin, Grant, Delilah, and Michelle. So 7 in total. Around 300 hours of footage was captured over a 7-month period that was then edited and condensed down to be 1 hour long 12-episode series. Does that make sense? Lance Loud, the oldest son, made history as the first openly gay person, not character, but actual real life person being himself on TV, and he subsequently became kind of an icon for the LGBTQ plus community at the time. And he was then the first regular person, kind of, to become famous for just being himself. He tragically died of liver failure in 2001 following complications with drug addiction and also being HIV positive. A follow-up episode aired in 2003 called Lance Loud, A Death in the American Public, that was broadcast on PBC, although it was actually filmed in 2001, the year Lance died. It showed all of the members of the family back together decades later, except for Grant, and it ended up bringing the family back together, which was exactly Lance's wish. His parents, Bill and Pat, had gotten divorced during the filming of the show. In the UK, a show called The Family aired in 1974, so only a year later, modeled after An American Life. Also, a 12-part documentary series, The Family, followed the Wilkins, a working class family from Reading, England. This family consisted of Margaret and Terry, their 4 children, Marion, Gary, Heather, and Christopher, Gary's wife, Karen, and their baby, Scott, and then Marion's fiance, Tom. So 9 people total. They had agreed to be filmed for 18 hours a day over a 3-month period. And while the family had more mixed feelings about they were portrayed in the show, they still televised a lot. Mary and Tom's marriage was televised and viewed by 8 million people in what was dubbed the television wedding of the year. Marian and Tom walked so Princess Diana could run. That's actually so not the case, okay? No one can live up to Princess Diana or come before Princess Diana, alrighty? But Margaret and Terry, the parents of the Wilkins family, also ended up divorcing 4 years later in 1978. Both of these shows received mixed reviews from critics, but drew huge viewership. The main goal of both of these shows was to show the unfiltered realities of the everyday working class family, which is nowadays kind of a far cry from the family-centered reality TV shows we know today, but also completely unprecedented for the time. Nothing like this had ever been done before. It should also be said that both families had mixed feelings and reactions to their respective shows about the way they were edited and the way they were portrayed for television, but both of these shows then ushered in a new genre, a new era of television, reality TV. So sorry, I got a phone call. Okay, where even was I? Okay. As I was saying, if you're watching this video, I'm sure you know in your mind at least one example of a family that became famous from reality TV. Like even my parents know about the Kardashians, and I use my parents as a barometer for like how well known you are in pop culture, because my parents are so far removed from that stuff. For example, my parents only learned who Austin Butler was after he starred in the Elvis movie. But this video is not a deep dive or a conversation about reality TV itself or like any one specific show. Rather, this is more a conversation about how reality TV is basically a commodification of your life, if you are the subject of the show, of course, and the repercussions that come with that, both good and bad. Oh my goodness, I've been talking all day, okay? So, this brings up the question, what makes for good reality TV? After some thinking, I came up with drama. You need some good, juicy drama to keep the viewer hooked and interested. Also, dynamic relationships and personalities. I don't want to watch a family of boring people doing boring things. That's not why I'm watching, okay? 3, authenticity, or at least some kind of like really well staged version of authenticity that is so well done that the viewer doesn't know that it's actually fake, okay? Also, maybe a mixture of some other miscellaneous things, maybe with especially these big famous families like the Kardashians, we watch for maybe a little bit of a sense of fantasy fulfillment. We are watching these rich, famous people living their rich, famous lives, experiences that we normal people could never really ever get. But maybe there's also a sense of wanting to watch something new and perhaps a bit foreign to normal lives. The TLC network had a lot of shows like that. For example, John and Kate Plus 8, 19 Kids and Counting. These were shows that showed more unconventional families and the particularly interesting dynamics and the relationships within them. Now, I am personally not really into reality TV that much or at all. The only reality TV show or like family-centered reality TV show I have ever spent time watching is Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Why is it so difficult to say that? Keeping Up with the Kardashians. There we go. And even then, it's only been like snippets here and there, like maybe one episode caught just because it was on. I just so happened to see it. I've never really truly been caught up with them, you know? But I liked the show. It was entertaining to me personally because of the dynamic personalities and relationships. Also, it was a little bit of a sense of fantasy fulfillment, like I mentioned, especially as the show has progressed, as the family has become more famous, more wealthy, seeing them again live their wealthy, famous lives, a life I'm probably never ever gonna live myself. But before that shift happened though, before the show and the family themselves really took off and became super rich and famous, it really at the beginning was just an entertaining show about this big crazy blended family, which was Chris's original intent anyways. She went to Ryan Seacrest at E! Network and said, hey, I got a really great show idea for you. You need to take a look at my family. They're crazy. This would make for great television. Filmed a little pilot episode, took it back to the network, and they were like, yeah, totally agree. Let's run this. And the show since then has made for some really memorable moments, okay? Cue the montage.
My diamond earring came off in the ocean and it's gone. Kim, there's people that are dying.
Kim, you're doing amazing, sweetie.
Push this knee out.
I feel fine. I just cry myself to sleep every night.
Yeah, that's totally normal.
That is so embarrassing for your life and your soul. I can't eat this, but how exciting is it to smell it?
Also,
Don't be
rude. Are you kidding me? Is that a chicken? Oh my god. Oh my god.
Kim, would you stop taking pictures of yourself? Your sister's going to jail.
Hello?
Auntie Chris, it's me. It's Todd Cranes. I'm gonna call you Art Vandelay. This is Art, by the way.
Hi.
Vandelay.
Your name is Art?
Art Vandelay.
And you're in an art gallery?
No, he's an artist.
And you're an artist?
Yeah.
And your name is Art?
Yeah, Art
This is amazing.
But to take it back a little bit to season 2 of the Kardashians, not keeping up with the Kardashians, but the Kardashians. I think it's like a Hulu streaming exclusive, but they kind of like rebranded after their contract with the E! Network on Keeping Up ended. But taking it back to season 2, which just goes to show how old the script is, okay? But still relevant, stay with me, okay? Taking it back to season 2, I remember at the time how much backlash the family got, the Kardashians got, for failing to keep it real, for losing their authenticity, for not going into more details about their private lives. For example, Kim's divorce from Kanye, what's going on at the time. Sound ridiculous saying that. Oh my gosh. Also, Travis Scott's Astroworld fiasco, in which people died at his concert. Yeah, that also went on at the time. So they got a lot of backlash for not going into some of these major moments. And after all, that's why we're watching the show. This show is about them. They are the entertainment, and we have known them in the past to not shy away from bearing it all on camera. Whether that's family drama, romantic relationship drama, any other thing that's going on in their lives, the precedent has already been set for the amount they show to the public. Khloe was notably the only one going more into detail about what was going on with her personal life. At the time season 2 was coming out, that whole Tristan cheating scandal, fathering another baby, all of that drama was going on. So viewers and fans of the show were disappointed in season 2 when really no one else talked about what was going on in their lives. They did, however, listen to the feedback, and so they scaled it back up for season 3, showing more of the drama and authenticity we have come to know and expect from the family. But this drives home the point that authenticity and strong dynamics are the biggest selling points of reality TV. We can watch scripted entertainment at any other time. We can also see ads for their products any other time, okay? We want a glimpse into the realities. And I say, because, of another family living their dramatic, preposterous lives. That's why we're watching. Oh, wow, I'm getting hot. Now it is here where I would like to pivot and branch off a little bit and talk for some time about family YouTubers. Yeah, I am not all that into family YouTubers. That is an understatement. I am not at all into family YouTubers, okay? I am aware of the Saucony Jolies and of the Shaytards, and that is only because I have seen them in Zoella videos, Zoe Sugg videos. They made some appearances. Other than that, I knew the Ace family, not for good reasons. I only knew them because of their controversies. It's just not the type of interest, It's just not the kind of content I am interested in watching and consuming. I had to Google family YouTubers to find more examples, to learn more about who exists on that side of YouTube, okay? It is no secret that, I guess, family vlogging is extremely popular and can garner for a family millions of views and subscribers. And with all of that attention, i.e. fame, can come brand deals, sponsorship, ad revenue. So it can be extremely lucrative. I mean, just look at the Ace family, okay? But the concept is the same as reality TV. You are monetizing your family, exposing your family to the public for entertainment, and you get money out of it. It can be just for fun, and maybe that's how it starts out. I think it can be a great way for families to document special moments, or maybe try to capture some more of the daily moments of their lives that can often be forgotten, and then it's just uploaded because maybe some people will find it entertaining. But it can also come with the goal and maybe the intent of trying to make it big on YouTube. And YouTube is its own beast, okay? It's its own entity, this entire platform, the way it pushes out content, the way it uses its algorithm. There is a whole world and ecosystem of content creators who can and do make it big on YouTube. But again, the concept is the same. You are using your family as a way to entertain other people. I personally think vlogging, like YouTube vlogging, is more personal than professional reality TV shows, I guess. There are typically no crews, like no film crews, no crew of any kind, really, no special lighting or equipment. It's not scripted, or at the very least, it feels less scripted. Regardless, though, the intention of family vlogging feels more intimate and authentic compared to actual reality television, because it doesn't have any of that big setup, no crew, no like confessional style sitting down and speaking to the camera. So the aspects of what make reality TV good really are the same aspects that make family vlogging good, which is authenticity, dynamic relationships and personalities that are being shown. Maybe not so much the drama. I don't think that's why people watch vlogging on YouTube for the drama. I think they really just more so want general entertainment, maybe some nice, wholesome, good vibes within the family. I don't know. I will bring up Emma Chamberlain, YouTube extraordinaire and not family vlogger, has become famous on YouTube for, though, just vlogging and documenting her daily life, which arguably is the essence of reality TV. She became famous for just being her own authentic self. But even she said a couple of years ago, I think during the height of her vlogging days, which was like 2019 to 2021, she had to take a step back. The lines began to blur between what was for herself and what was for the camera, what was her private life and what she shared to the public.
I've probably hit burnout 40 times. Every time I've hit burnout, it's gotten a little bit worse.
She felt like she opened herself up and shared a little bit too much. So she had to take some time off and step back for a little bit. Okay, I need to change. I'm getting so hot. Please hold. That's much better. This is usually how I operate, something cute up top, and then where you can't see, I'm just wearing some shorts. But she has more autonomy and control over her YouTube channel. That is her channel, that is her content. She doesn't have a crew to be responsible for. She doesn't have any kind of like network looming over her with any kind of contractual obligations. You know, maybe except for sponsorship deals, and this video with this sponsorship needs to go up at this specific time. That's pretty much it. But even at the pace she was going, with the level of fame and exposure she had, even she ended up burning herself out. So I cannot even begin to imagine what it is like and how burdening it can be to constantly air your life's laundry, all of your dirty laundry at the height of national television. That's crazy. But that's what some of these people and families sign up for. As we've seen, and as we already know, reality TV, and as I shall so dub it, reality vlogging on YouTube can be extremely lucrative. The Kardashians were already kind of well known and circling the Hollywood sphere before their show took off. The dad, Robert Kardashian, was a very well-known lawyer. Also, the stepdad, the step-parent, formerly known at the time as Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, was an Olympic athlete. So they had already been making connections before the show started. But then after the show, they skyrocketed to fame and wealth. Business Insider reports in 2015 that when they re-signed their contracts with E! Network, the Kardashians got $80 to $100 million for 4 more seasons. When the show's 10-year anniversary rolled around in 2017, they renewed again with E! Network for another 3 years, worth $100 million. Their contract during their move to Hulu for the Kardashians got them all collectively around another $100 million to split amongst themselves. Other family-centered reality TV shows have come and gone throughout the entire Kardashians' reign on the silver screen. Examples: the Osbournes, who were famous before this show, you know, Ozzy Osbourne, Sharon Osbourne, Kelly Osbourne, we know who they are. Chrisley Knows Best, T.I. and Tiny the Family Hustle. I'm going to include Vanderpump Rules on this. Before doing research for this, I was gonna say show, it's not a show. But anyways, I'm including Vanderpump Rules on this list for this video because prior to doing research for this video, I, for some reason, was always under the impression that Vanderpump Rules was about a family. It wasn't about, it's like one person bringing on multiple other people into this group for, I don't even know, but it's not, technically speaking, family centered. But other examples include John and Kate Plus 8, Sister Wives, 19 Kids and Counting, Meet the Barkers, Married to Jonas, Ashley and Evan, Eric and Jesse, Newlyweds Nick and Jessica, The Stallone Family, The D'Amelio Show. This is a pretty comprehensive list, but I am sure it is not even the full list of modern day family-centered reality TV shows. And it's no wonder that so many other couples and families have tried, with varying degrees of success, to sign on for their own reality shows, especially after seeing how lucrative they can be, okay? I would also like to point out that there is a difference between shows centering couples like Nick and Jessica, Ashley and Evan, and shows centering families like the Osbourne, like Chrisley Knows Best. It shows Chrisley's family. Not that, again, before doing research for this show, this video, I knew who Chrisley was. But each of these parties is trying to capture the same essence as the Osbournes or the Kardashians and grab a piece of the pie, which I understand. At the, I suppose, $0 monetary cost of your private life, you don't need to have any true actual skills to be on reality TV, okay? You could just be yourself in order to try to be famous. And here is where I put in my notes in my parentheses. Do families or couples, depending on who is portrayed in the shows, get offended when their shows get canceled? Because they get canceled because they're not drawing viewership, and if they're not drawing viewership, it's just because they weren't interesting enough. Like, does that occur to them? And would they get offended? Would I get offended if my reality show had to be canceled because no one was watching it because I wasn't interested enough? Probably. This then brings me to the biggest question of this whole video, the biggest issue, which is privacy. When your whole life, with I guess some limitations and exceptions because the subjects of the show can't be filmed 24/7, nor can all of that footage reasonably be actually aired. But when basically your whole life is filmed and aired for television, how much of your life is left for your own privacy? Are you still entitled to any? And how much do you then value the privacy you have left? If you have any. We have seen drama after drama play out on TV for millions of people to watch, okay? Whether as some standalone issue or whether it came as a byproduct of the fame of your show. I'm thinking scandals like Vanderpump Rules' Scandal. I remember when this happened, okay? Again, I say, never have seen Vanderpump Rules in my life. Apparently didn't even really know what the show was about. But this was such a big issue that even I learned about what it was and what happened, okay? Another example, the John and K+8 cheating scandal that happened at the time, the big breakup and the huge contentious divorce they went through, and the fallout and aftermath of that event. You know, fame comes with its own wholly unique set of challenges that a lot of us normal, anonymous people will never really truly fully understand. This could be partly due to just your waning privacy in general. It could maybe be partly due to inflated egos as you become more famous and as you know, have more access to different people. More situations can go awry, okay? But when you're on these shows, you run the risk. And you know, maybe you don't run the risk because you kind of know what you're signing up for, but I will put it this way, you run the risk of becoming famous. Fame inherently comes with a loss of privacy, as more people just in general know of your existence, know who you are. The more they learn about aspects of their lives and the less privacy you then have. Or I suppose, the more work you have to put in to maintain some level or semblance of privacy. There are a lot of celebrities who fiercely protect their privacy for themselves, for their families, so it's definitely possible, but people, the public, still hound them for information about their private lives. And the biggest difference is the fact that their talents, the reason why, oh my gosh. Excuse me. But the biggest difference between these celebrities and reality TV celebrities is that their talents lie in an actual talent, okay? For acting or for singing. So they're not selling themselves, they're just selling their talents. The inherent loss of privacy that comes with becoming famous is a byproduct of just being exceptionally great at their talent. That is not the case for reality TV, okay? When reality TV is your claim to fame, your private life is your commodity. What you do, where you go, what relationships you have, what you do within those relationships. You see what I'm saying? So I pose the question, is it right for these reality stars to then ask for privacy, to shield the juicy details from the audience when that's why the audiences are tuning in every week? I remember, again, during the time when season 2 aired of the Kardashians, Kourtney and Kim specifically were flayed for failing to go more into their private lives. That Khloe was the only one going into great detail about what was going on in her personal life, what was going on with Tristan, and what was going on with that whole cheating scandal.
Tristan and I are, I don't even know if I want to say Tristan and I.
I am having another baby.
Like, she really laid it all out for us, okay? Which, you know, we can appreciate. But that then makes me wonder what line is drawn and by who and where for each family member, or I suppose each subject, between what is fair game for the show and what is then left for themselves to be left to their own private lives.
I think for every sister, we have different boundary levels and we all try to respect that. Your boundaries are allowed to change, and mine will probably change later. But I think a lot of what is in the media is sort of things that we feel we need to film, because it's in a way unfair to the viewers if they don't get to see that we've shared so much about our lives.
As an intensely private person myself, I cannot even begin to imagine what it would be like to commodify my own personal life, okay? Even with the payoff of being rich and famous, all right? To have family fights, cheating scandals, illegitimate babies, prison sentences, all filmed and televised for people to watch, to pass judgment on, feels like a huge right to willingly give up, even if it's for fame and money, okay? It's an even bigger conversation that we're not having now to bring minors into the discussion. Like with the, I don't know, I guess you could call it like the second generation of the Kardashians. I remember Kris doing an interview saying she felt kind of bad that her grandchildren were not really asked about whether or not this was the life they wanted for themselves, that this is something they were born into, whereas she and her kids knew what they were getting themselves into. They willingly signed up for this lifestyle, to have all parts of their life being shown on TV. You could even argue that the Jenner girls, the Jenner sisters, Kendall and Kylie, they started the show really young. They were either like 9 and 11 or 11 and 13. So they were also not asked if they wanted to be on the show. I think they have said sometimes that they started so young, they almost don't really remember what it was like to live a life not being filmed. Also, on the topic of bringing minors into the discussion, family vlogging, just in general, okay? Which is, you know, vlogging you and your kids most of the times without their consent, you know? Even actors and musicians acknowledge that fame is often an unfortunate byproduct of the success they gain by doing their professions, okay? They have to like make PR statements about big events in their lives, if they have a baby, if they go through a divorce. But when your life is your moneymaker, again, I ask, how much privacy do you get left for yourself? Because privacy is important. I think everyone has the right to privacy. But when you willingly give it up for it to be televised, how much can you argue that you have left for yourself? It seems very little, although I'm sure the Kardashians would dispute that. I'm sure they have some personal drama that we, the public, will never know about, that they have kept so close to the chest. But from an outsider's perspective, and again, I really have no actual idea, but from my perspective, it seems like very little of their lives is left for just themselves. And I wonder, I guess, how they feel about that.
And how do you feel about that?
I don't think any of them imagined that the show would take off the way it did, that it would skyrocket them to fame as much as it did. And for the trade-off of all of their fame and wealth and the other parts of their luxurious lives being their private lives, their anonymity, and being able to live free of public judgment, I wonder how much of all of it is really worth it. Like, I would much rather live my private, anonymous life rather than have the whole public know that my partner cheated on me and got another girl pregnant while he was trying to get me pregnant too. Or feel pressured to marry a man I didn't want to marry and didn't even know very well because the event was going to be televised. Okay? I'm just saying. It seems like there are waves in what is publicized / shared for the public and what is kept more private. The relationship seems to ebb and flow a little bit. For example, Kylie in the past, maybe a couple of years, hasn't really posted her kids that much. Kourtney, I don't think to this particular day of filming has shown her new baby Rocky's face on social media yet. I remember Kim really scales back her social media usage after the horrendous Paris hotel break-in. So the Kardashians, and I'm using them as my primary example because they are just the biggest names in TV. Everyone knows who they are. So the Kardashians do have a sense of when and where to draw a line in the sand. However, Kourtney constantly gets comments on her social media posts about why she isn't showing Rocky's face, as if that isn't her right as his mother. I'm sure it's because people just in general notice more with famous people and are much more prone to spewing vitriol in the comments. So I'm sure it would be different if she wasn't famous, if she wasn't on television, but really, it makes me wonder why people care so much. I know it's because, one, people are mean, but then also two, fame invites the formation of parasocial relationships, which makes the viewers or the fans feel entitled to know everything about the lives of their I guess like celeb faves. So do you see this complicated relationship between reality TV and the fandom or the viewership? Documenting their lives is what made them rich and famous. So who are they to withhold any information from us, the audience? I personally still think these reality TV stars are still well within their rights to pick and choose what they show to the audience and when they show it to the audience. But like I mentioned, when the precedence is set one way, when the viewers are used to it one way, when they are used to seeing it all, or, you know, perceived seeing it all, they're not used to anything being held back. And so that's the danger or the slippery slope of reality TV. Now, I don't really have a conclusion for this video. It was more so kind of just like a think piece on reality TV, the repercussions, the consequences it has on the lives of the people who choose to, what's the right word, document their lives for the public. I think there are a lot of really interesting discussions to have around reality TV in general. And so I'm curious as to what all of your opinions are on any of the parts of this video that I talked about. Would you have your own reality TV show? Do you think reality stars are entitled to any privacy, etc., etc.? I'm very curious. Let's start a discussion in the comments below. But yeah, that's the end. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.